What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Krash Talk, episode 19.
Yep, 20.
We're out here. We got a special guest. We had a guest last episode, and we had so much fun with it. We decided to bring on another guy. Some of you guys might know him. Some of you might not. He is the favorite grandchild to the local kid. I'm sorry. He's the favorite grandchild, the local kid that falls in love with this home over and over again. YouTube explorer, infographic reading. Get in the car and go get that taco beer industry veteran. Got my brother.
Certified gangster.
And Hamburger Nicer. Jairo, welcome.
What's up, guys? Thank you.
Let me get you closer to that mic.
Some little
Do you want
Go ahead and pull the whole thing right there.
something
Hell
like
yeah.
that?
What's good video of people trying to figure it out when you're not doing live editing? So live editing is what gets things done, guys.
This is my first time in David's studio. David and Aaron, my cousin, who's next door.
Hey, my name's Krash.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
This is the first time in.
We're going to get that out.
For real? I don't know. And this is tight. As cool as advertised. And I can see why you like to spend so much time here, because it just feels good.
Yeah.
The shape of everything, the space. And can we talk about this sunlight?
Right?
Oh my God.
dude,
We have a
vitamin
big ass
D.
window. We've talked about it. You can see it on my screen.
I like how that's become like a
Is this
point
right?
of conversation.
Yeah, that was actually gifted to us on the last episode.
Shout out to
by
Karina.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah,
ZZ
she
Plant.
gave it to us. Yeah.
Plant Mommy or what was
Plant
her
mom.
name? Plant-
Groovy
She
knees.
just-
Groovy.
Plant
Yeah,
Mom.
yeah. I saw the episode yesterday. Super cool episode.
Yeah, it was super awesome. I've been getting a lot of good feedback on that.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
but welcome, man.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Popping
Thank you.
cherries.
I was trying to think like, all right, Heido, like let's make it natural. What should we talk about? Like, what do we normally talk about? Because I feel like between the three of us, we have some explosive conversations sometimes, which are effortless, right?
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, this is how I feel, and then we connect all these dots, and comes full circle, and you learn. I learned a lot about Cisco the more we speak, and then me and you, Dave, we've been talking forever. So I was just in my head.
Literally.
I was in my head like, damn, what do I talk about? What? And then as I'm thinking this, I like look down at what I'm doing, and I'm taking my friends Ari and his brother, who are from Israel. They're visiting LA, and I'm taking them on a little food tour, all bent up about what I should be talking about. I'm like, wait, look what I'm doing now. Like, this is special. Not everyone's doing what I'm doing. And so I met Ari through the beer industry. He's Israeli, lives in San Diego now. His brother, who lives in Israel, came to visit him. And Ari was just super adamant, like, yo, we got to go visit Heido. He knows what's up, blah, blah, blah. They came yesterday. We met in Orange County, because Orange County is a little bit more open. So I suggested, yo, Orange County. And it was just like a bang, bang, bang. Like, okay, we're going to go get these chilaquiles at this spot that I know.
Fire.
And then we're going to get a little beer at a deli across the street. And then we're going to go to Little Arabia and get some Indian food. And then and it was so special. It was so special because I was all inflated with this pride of LA. Like, this is LA County, Orange County, whatever, Southern California. Kind of like, let me show them the best of what we got. And knowing that they had like wide open palettes, it just makes it easy to be like, all right, cool. You're probably going to say yes to everything. Even if I show you something funky, it's not going to be super funky because you've been there, done that. You've had experience.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time I do this. I think, as I'm telling you this, I think the coolest experience is when I hosted a couple of German friends who I met in Portland. Long story short, I connected with this German couple that to this day, we're still very good friends. They came to LA to visit. They were on a US 50-state tour, 48-state tour. And I thought, what can I show them that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives? And I thought, let's show them the Chicano experience. Let's show them, the swap meet. Let's show them tacos on the corner, like not even fancy tacos. I'm talking just like your normal tacos that you're not super excited about, but it's just super normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like El Gallito, the food truck on the corner.
Wow.
Like,
But that's exclusive to this region.
right,
Yeah.
right. And just to touch on that, yesterday, Ari's brother wanted a burger, and he's like, "Oh, you're the burger guy. Like, you have to know the best burgers." And I gave it good thought, like, okay, I do want to show him a good burger. And I retracted all that and thought, no, I'm going to give him Tom's Burgers, like the regular burger that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And so we went and we got one. And he took a couple bites and he was like, yeah, this is a California burger. And he didn't know what he was talking about, but I can tell it's just a new flavor combination for him where he was like, oh yeah, this is new. And I patted myself like, oh, I did a good job showing him that instead of, a gourmet burger at a sit down restaurant, which would have been great too.
Yeah.
But I think there's levels to this thing.
That Tom's Burger probably represents this a lot better.
And it represents
100%.
our experience growing up, like for $4, go get a little meal. What have you guys been like? David, you're an artist. You're a music artist.
Mm-hmm.
Your focus and energy goes that way. Your day job, you work in the food and beverage industry. What? By the way, Long Beach bread is some of the best bread I've had. It's so good.
My gut hates me.
But what have you guys been excited about food wise? Like, what have you eaten, Cisco, recently that just popped and just has stuck with you?
Yeah, Cisco's probably the guy to ask. I don't have like high standards.
No, and that's another thing. Like, it doesn't have to be something at the restaurant. Like, that Oreos Pop-Tart that you eat at midnight or whatever, like that gives you some sort of comfort. It's self-love sometimes. Like for me, sometimes it's just like a bowl of Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
I'm eating it at home. I'm like, this is all I want right now. Like I could go to a restaurant and eat, but like I just want some Lucky Charms.
You're a marshmallow guy?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a freak. I'll eat the other grainy ones.
Yeah.
And then leave like a scoop full of all marshmallows.
Oh, no.
And just like,
That's so good. I was never a Lucky Charms guy. Like I'm a Lucky Charms guy without the marshmallows. But
too sweet or too weird?
I don't know. I think it's too sweet. I went away from cereal a long time ago, not because of health reasons or anything, but I think it was just too sweet overall. I would always mix healthy cereals with like not healthy cereals, like Honey Bunches of Oats.
You would have thrived in our house.
With Cocoa Puffs and mix those, or Cinnamon Toast Crunch with like Special K.
My mom was notorious for doing that.
Really?
Like for us as kids.
Like half healthy, half sweet.
Yeah, like half Cheerios, half Fruit Loops, or half Rice Krispies, half Cocoa Krispies.
Yeah, dude.
And it was like a thing, especially when my cousins would come over who would grow up on the sugar cereals.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What's going on here?" And I would be like a sense of embarrassment, like, yeah, this is just the way it goes around here.
Yeah, we make cereals.
My mom was trying to stretch out the good flavors.
Yeah. And now we grow up and we're over here mixing condiments, bro. You get the ketchup with the mustard with the ketchup, the ranch, the barbecue. Yeah. We just moms, dude.
I hear people online bashing ketchup or mayo or certain condiments sometimes, and I'm just wondering, like, where does this hatred come from? Like, what happened in your youth? Did you eat too much ketchup? Is that why you hate ketchup?
Yeah. What was the
like,
experience?
I get it, it's super sweet, but it's an integral part of growing up here.
Or people that hate like tomatoes, or like mushrooms. And it's like, what do you guys have? And I guess it could be a texture thing, but
I get it. With vegetables, I get it because not all kids ate vegetables, but everyone ate ketchup, didn't they?
I mean, everyone McDonald's, McDonald's is notorious for having ketchup in their burgers.
As I was thinking about these food questions I wanted to bring up, I couldn't help but think of David and Pollo Loco. And I'll be like, hey, yo, Dave, like, what's up? What are you going to eat? What's the chicken? What's it called?
Chicken avocado burrito, the number 4.
How many times have you eaten it during the last couple of years?
Dang. I would probably say, let's say in the last like 3 years, which is when I've really been eating it, I've probably eaten it, I don't know.
Once a month?
Like once a week at least.
Damn.
Not
once every 2 weeks? Yeah.
But let's say every month I ate it probably 2 to 3 times. So 3 times 12, 24, 36 times 3.
Jeez.
109, 90, 100
109? 108?
108. Yeah. 108 times probably in the last. And then that goes hand in hand with
Pollo Loco. Can we sponsor this, man? Can we sponsor Krash Indigo for eating the
Pollo Loco
number
gift
4?
Card was on my Christmas list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet.
This out gift card was on my Christmas list.
Like, there's nothing. Okay, eating food is one thing, but being able to eat free food because of a swipe or a gift card, it just hits different.
You know what hurts me is when I do that, when I buy the free food, and then because it's really hit or miss. It really matters about who's the cook there. Like, especially with El Pollo Loco, they don't have it the way like In-N-Out has it, where no matter where you go, you're gonna get the same In-N-Out burger. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had an In-N-Out burger where I'm like, this one's different here. this one I don't really want this.
They're
But with
consistent.
El Pollo Loco, yeah, like it depends, like who's working at the griddle and who's like which El Pollo Loco. Because I've gotten some sad burritos sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like worst $8
Like,
I've ever spent.
This person needs to clock out and go
Yeah.
home because they're
It's like
tired.
mostly tortilla and cabbage.
They
And
probably
I'm
had a
like,
bad day,
man.
bro. Or you caught them at
Well,
closing.
now I had a bad day because of that burrito.
Dang.
Nah, but yeah, that's the food I get excited for. Like I don't really get excited for food, so yeah, El Pollo Loco, In and Out, $2 tacos or $1 tacos at Jack in the Box, or this ramen spot right here. Simple,
Quaybrew.
simple.
Have you eaten at all these eateries here or
No,
at some
I
of these
haven't.
eateries?
I haven't eaten at this sushi bar. I've eaten at this Mexican spot, the ramen spot too.
Ramen spot's pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I have every place other than this sushi bar, and I love sushi. So
Yeah.
Cisco, is
Maybe
there
it's
there
next.
anything you've eaten on that level? Like,
That brings me home.
no, but for instance, David just
Had a shit.
ate
like
at one
108
place over
burritos.
100 times. Like, is there a
Exactly.
place that's taking your money over 100 times?
It's a great question. I think I spread the wealth pretty evenly. Like, if I'm eating, I'll eat alone for the most part or with my family, but I do eat a lot with Carissa. And we tend to just kind of go to places repeatedly. Like lately, we've gone to Little Coyote a couple times, even though it's newer.
what is that?
Pizza in
Oh, okay.
Long Beach. We had that last night.
I mean, you and me have gotten a mod pizza because of me the last 3
weeks. Yeah, Michael this week. No, boiling crab used to be a big hit. Like we used to just always fuck up some shrimp, and
I've actually never been to one of those.
no way.
I know I would love it.
Yeah, you
It's
would.
just garlic and seafood. Like,
Yeah, bomb. There's a close one here in Torrance called Shrimp Bayou,
Never been either.
and it's a little sweeter. It's a little bit more Creole. Bomb. But I just recently read an article. I think it was by Time. No, not Time. Vice, about the effects that spicy food has on your brain, and it releases endorphins. So I'm a maniac when it comes to spicy food. Like the very first or second episode we had of Krash Talk of just chilling at your house
Dang,
when we had
remember
that spicy ass chicken tender
That
from
video never came out.
Jaybirds.
So just a little backstory to that. I was super inspired to do this whole podcast thing by two main outlets, which was Joe Rogan and Hot Ones.
Sean Evans, baby.
Yeah, who I feel both of them are great journalists, ask great questions. But yeah, so we did our own thing. Where did we go? Jaybirds?
Caliente ones. Yeah, Jaybirds
We went
in
to
Long Beach.
Jaybirds in Long Beach
Got
at the
some-
hangar.
Got some tenders.
Yeah, and we got the 3 spiciest, and then we got the 2 spiciest, and then we asked for the off-menu spicy one.
Yeah.
And then we recorded it at Heido's house. Heido walked in the middle of the episode, in the middle of those of us eating those wings.
Those
and we were
tenders, yeah.
dying, bro. I don't eat spicy food. My brain doesn't release endorphins. It releases pain.
Yeah.
So
There was-
Well, it's not. So spice isn't felt on the tongue. It's pain receptors. So that's why you feel pain, and that's why you don't feel the taste of the flavors. Because when most people eat spicy food, it's like, oh, I don't taste this. It's not on your tongue. Like we have umami, sweet, sour, whatever, but it goes straight to the pain receptors, and that's why we fucking freak out when we eat spicy food. Most folks do.
I got home and they were sprawled out in the middle of the house with just greasy napkins and crushed beer cans, swollen lips, watery eyes. And I'm like, what is going on in here?
no, you walked in and you ate one.
And you ate one
took
with
a
us.
bite, bro.
Yeah.
I think the spiciest one.
Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
Jumped right back in.
Yeah.
Like, got into the.
Because we were like this. You're like, ready?
Yeah.
Ready. And then
Like,
we hear the
cheers.
door. Oh, Hyro's here. There's another one. You want to do it?
Dude, I
Yeah.
had this shit for like 2 days.
Had to
poor
grab
thing.
ice cubes, like rub them on my lips. But I felt fucking great after
I
that.
had work after that, so I had to clean lines, and I was just
Oh,
there,
you
like,
did.
like dying.
Yeah.
You never released that episode?
No,
No, it's in the
this is
archives. It's in the vault.
forever. That one and the first episode that we had done at my house.
That one's on SoundCloud.
Oh, that one is on SoundCloud. Yeah.
You put one
Yeah,
of them
I
on
didn't
SoundCloud.
release that. No, you know what? I had yours, then I had yours, then I had a third one with you,
Mhm.
which was the because we had one. Oh, we did.
We have one at
release
your
it.
house. And then
Yeah.
we had the second one. I have one on my notes.
Yeah.
That I guess I could release and call it the archive file
the
if you guys want to
archive
listen to it. Forgot what we talked about, but yeah, man. Howlin' Rays we used to go to a lot before it was hype, but then it got hype, so then we would just go like 8 a.m. bust a mission, get in line, wait for 2 hours, bring a little Switch and
Mhm.
play until the chicken sandwich was ready.
The first time I went to Howlin' Rays, the backstory, it was my birthday. I was hanging out with some friends, drinking beers, And a friend of mine put his arm over me. He was like, "We're going to Howlin' Ray's tomorrow morning." And I was a few beers in. It was my birthday. I'm like, "Yeah, of course, I'm down." Well, the next day I wake up feeling like I had 100 beers.
Yeah.
And he's like calling me already, like, "Yo, I'm on my way." And I'm thinking, I do not feel like going out to eat right now, especially hot chicken.
Yeah.
We stood in line for 90 minutes at least, and I'm sweating bullets, just not happy.
Just going through it.
Fake smile, just, all right, Jairo, just get through this. But the moment I first bit, and that was my first Howlin' Ray's experience, like one bite in, I was like, oh, everything's worth it. This is the most incredible thing I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
And
did you eat inside? Or did you eat outside?
I don't remember the first time, but
okay.
But yeah, it's a whole experience. And Howlin' Ray's and the type of experience they offer totally influenced me last year when I decided to start a little food brand, because as incredible as the food was, the experience and the ambiance being in that little room, probably the size of this studio, like made it even better.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, wow, I haven't even eaten my food, but it's already worth it. Like the energy from the owner and the squad,
playing.
and you can tell, the music and the squad is just in unison like a band. Everyone's kind of playing their instrument and everyone's fist bumping you. They're giving out free stuff.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring.
Yeah.
I went home and wrote down exactly what I liked about it. And when I started Hamburgers Nice last year, and to this day, it's still a goal. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. Connect, show face, whether it's on the DMs, I'm trying to tell you to have a nice day, or just, wait till you see what I got in store for you. And it's all love. What we were talking about before the episode. This is all love, dude.
Love.
And food. I love to talk about food. I know that not everyone will romanticize food like I do, but it's just love. And this is, I like to choose food because everyone eats food, so everyone can relate at some level. But yeah, man, I remind people when people are DMing me like, "Yo, thank you for this burger." So I run a little business called Hamburgers Nice. It's a hamburger pop-up. I've been popping up AMs at a little coffee and beer shop by my house in Long Beach called Commodity. So when the owner of Commodity asked me, "Yo, come in and pop up," he gave me the AM schedule. So I thought, cool, let me come up with breakfast hamburgers, whatever that means. I didn't know what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
All I can think about was McDonald's. Like, I love McDonald's breakfast. Let me do my version of McDonald's breakfast experience. A year and a half later, like, I got some good momentum, and it's really cool to see people, repeat customers. I wish I had, David's energy of someone coming in 108 times, but I do have people like that. Like, I have a few customers who will come in once a week.
Get a chicken avocado burger.
I can't wait.
Chicken avocado burger.
Throw beans in there.
Yeah.
Wrap the whole burger in a tortilla.
Shredded lettuce, or what else do they put in there? And some sauce. But yeah, I mean, so, 18 months later, people try to commend me and try to give me compliments, which I love. I have trouble sometimes like fully receiving a compliment because I'm in my head about how to make something better. That when you tell me good job, I'm kind of like, haha, yeah, right.
What do you really mean?
Exactly. Or rather like, you think this is good? Like, wait, I got to make it better.
Yeah.
I have to step back and just remind myself, I started this project to share love, to share happiness, and the connector is the food item. But it could have been, I could make candles.
I think it's crazy.
Candles. Sorry.
I love candles.
It's not out of the picture yet.
It's not.
I'm not in the food world like that, so I'm really not aware of what, like, I didn't know the culture of smash burgers, and that there was a whole audience for that. So when you first started the burgers thing, I was so taken aback because you were such a tacos guy before that. You still are, but I was like, if he's gonna make any type of food and sell it, it's gonna be tacos, because you had never hit me up prior to that and said, "Hey, let's go get a burger," and probably in and out, but 100 times, 200 times where we're like, "Hey, let's go get tacos."
Thank you for bringing that up. I was thinking about that yesterday while I was on my little hamburger run. Because my friend brought that up too. He said, "I would have thought you would have started a taco company." And that was initially the idea. Like, I'm going to start a really cool taco pop-up. and offer my mom's food, offer food we grew up with that may be very exciting for other people, but very homely for us.
Yeah.
And I'll admit that I was just too in my head about it. And it has to do with the passion I have for it.
Yeah.
It created a standard. And then I convinced myself I wouldn't be able to attain that standard.
You don't want to taint that.
Right. So
Yeah.
I was just resistant. And that resistance was months and maybe years of me like wanting to start a food company, but just chopping my own legs off before I even started the race. Just like, no, I'm not going to make it. When I thought about the hamburger idea, it just seemed not easy, but it seemed very easy flowing. Like, oh, I can make a good hamburger. Like, you know, not to say that there isn't much to it. There is a process to it, but I was just very, very easy about it. Like,
Do you think it's because it didn't strike so close to home that you didn't feel like this obligation?
definitely.
to represent it well?
Yeah, identity. It definitely had to do with how my identity is intertwined with Mexican food.
Mhm.
And for instance, I present to you a taco that I grew up with, and you're like, meh, it's gonna feel a lot more sour than me presenting you with a burger I made. Meh. I'm like, all right, whatever. You don't like the burger.
Yeah.
The taco is like closely tied to my inner
Yeah.
person.
Even if that taco isn't
So-
amazing.
Yeah, exactly. But it's mine, you know?
Yeah.
It's a taco de frijoles, and I'm just like, oh, this is mine. Like, this is
Yeah.
my mom's. And all that went into play in creating Hamburgers Nice. Like, even the name Hamburgers Nice is a shout out to these Mexican businesses like Tacos Jairo, Tacos El Gavilan, Tacos San Pedro.
Tacos Gallito.
Yeah. And so it was that same wording, like Hamburguesas Nice.
Yeah.
And that, and at this point, I just love how off-putting it sounds, or just how different it sounds when you put me on a list of all these hamburger businesses. You know, I use the word hamburgers. No one else uses hamburgers.
Yeah.
And it sounds funny, but I love it. I'm enamored by it.
It
It's
sounds like you put two random words together.
it really does.
Yeah.
It really does. So I have to remind people like, oh, Hamburgers Nice, like nice hamburgers.
Mm.
And then they connect the dots. Like, oh, okay, nice hamburgers. Hamburgers
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you ever get like the question of, because you know a hamburger is a burger without cheese for the most part, right? Has anyone ever been like, oh, do you guys have cheese? I know you have cheeses in all your burgers, and
I have gotten
cheese-
that. I
cheese
ha-
is important in
I
your
have
burgers.
gotten-
Cheeseburgers nice.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
rebranding.
No,
I have gone that. I have gone that. I've also thought that there's a vendor who blends bacon into their hamburger, and I never see it advertised. So I think about that too. I'm like, do they know that there's bacon in there? But it is hamburger. Like ham is bacon, and I don't know, just the politics of the wording.
yeah, semantics.
To answer your question, I don't really think about it too much. But I do take an open approach when people come in and they want to know what's in the burger. Like, yeah, let me show you.
Yeah,
I'll
I
let
mean,
you
you're pretty
know
open
what's
about
in
it.
everything except the sauce.
Oh, and no
I've-
sauce.
I've got a secret sauce that wasn't secret until this guy came in and assumed it was secret, and then it became secret. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. I'm like,
Yeah. Shout and the
Yeah.
like no other was
Th-
born.
This guy was super adamant about learning what was in the spread. And it's a very simple spread that you've had 100 times. But he tasted it and he said, oh, this is a sauce like no other. So I ran with that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
totally. I'm like, oh, it is. It is.
Years of curating.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
How'd you know?
Thank you for
2006
identifying that.
National Sauce Champion.
Yeah.
Posting it down.
This year has been super cool and crazy and weird and rewarding because of the pandemic. And I was able to catch a good wave on the surfboard, figuratively speaking, and just ride this thing. I went from, come visit me every Thursday morning to, okay, pre-orders only, DMs only, everything handled electronically, payment electronically, to try to create like the safest, least contact situation or experience for people. It's been nice. Now we're in February. Things are starting to kind of normalize a little bit more. Whether or not the numbers are reflecting it, I think people's moods are a little bit more chill. People are, I see more people out. I see more people.
Less anxiety about the whole thing, the whole situation. Less side eye about people not wearing a mask or being out in public.
Definitely. And it's given me a moment to look back and reflect like, whoa, what a crazy year. Like
Big time.
we were wearing double masks for a while. We were washing our hands between, every 30 seconds, wash your hands or change your gloves. And first off, very fortunate that I didn't get sick or too sick, didn't get COVID or not yet, knock on wood. But just overall, just thinking, wow, how much did I learn? Like, if I survived this pandemic year, like, what else? What's next?
You thrived in the pandemic year. How did this affect your business? Like,
how much
aside from the delivery and the preparation of the food?
I didn't foresee the pandemic, of course. I don't pay attention to a lot of world news. But my internet presence totally 100% gave me the platform to continue business and thrive. My business grew really, really fast when the pandemic hit. Had I not had internet awareness, or just kind of, if I didn't have traction already on my Instagram, it would have been a lot different. And I know other restaurants and businesses that just opened, cold turkey during the pandemic, and they had a whole nother set of challenges than I had. Yeah. It went from, oh, damn, that's kind of weird, you have to order online, to literally the whole country ordering online.
Yeah.
And it went from one month to another. So that was an easy kind of shoo-in for me, where I didn't have to explain anymore. Like, I know this is weird that you have to order online. No, it was like,
oh, because you were kind of already following.
I was already doing pre-orders.
Yeah.
Because like, if you order 5 burgers and I'm one person, I can't do 5 back to back. So I would ask people like, yo, if you're gonna have more than X burgers, reach out. Like, I'll have you set in a time slot. So that's been cool, that the world normalized themselves to something odd, or something uncommon that I had, that I had been using. And I didn't invent the time slots. Like, I've seen other vendors do it, and I learned paying attention to these other vendors, like pizza vendors, where like a pizza takes a certain amount of time, especially like a baked pizza or a deep dish. So that was cool, that I didn't have to struggle in converting everything online. Kind of like the pieces were already set, and it was just a smooth transition.
It's like life transformed and evolved to your needs in a way, like
definitely
you didn't have to evolve, like the life evolved and conformed to you, and people too. Because I would have, a year ago, I do a lot of food stuff, and I would have thought that was weird. Like, I gotta pick up a burger at 10:30. Why can't I just show up? But now, like, if a place doesn't offer that, I'm like, fuck, I gotta wait 20 minutes. Damn, and you're not gonna tell me when? Fuck. Next one. Who's gonna tell me when my food is ready and when I can pick it up?
Definitely.
Please.
During the pandemic, I'm thinking about these things as a consumer. When I'm out trying to get some food or something, I'm thinking about the time and how many people am I going to be next to when I'm waiting for the food.
Yeah.
Just because you're not trying to see anyone. You're not trying to, cross germs.
Well, am I the only one that will drive by a street taco vendor, and if the line's too long, I'm like, next, pass. Yeah. But if it's like 2 people deep, I'm like, fuck it.
Pull over.
I'm not hungry, but fuck it. There's no one in line. Bet. I'm going.
That's me. And then in that split second, I'm looking at other cars on the road. Like, who else is pulling over right now? Who else? Like, do I have to run out of my car, or can I walk over to the line?
Yeah.
I was talking to David before the podcast about this world I created with the online presence and my brand, and I'm trying to do things a little bit different, or rather with my little tweak, my style on it, whether it be the visuals of my brand, whether it be the words that I come up with on a post, whether it be the actual burger and how it looks and how it behaves and tastes.
Yeah. And connecting that with,
I was connecting that with MF Doom, who passed away recently. MF Doom is one of my favorite music artists, and he really changed my life. When I first heard him, I'll never forget. It was in 2006. I was in a car with my brother Isaac and our friend Danny Barba. And in those days, we used to just like drink beer and freestyle in someone's car, foggy windows, and then go home. And that was like a good Friday night. Yeah. And that day, Danny had like a new disc. He pops it in. And I remember it was Isaac's turn to freestyle. We would take turns. And it was one of the Metal Fingers beats. And I forget which one it was, but I'm looking at Isaac, just waiting for him to start flowing. And he didn't, he doesn't talk. And he's just in his head like, whoa, this beat doesn't need words. It's so expressive. He used that word. It's so expressive. And it made me snap out of it like, oh yeah. And that's where the love was born.
Dang, I had never heard that story.
And Danny Barber. When MF Doom died, I reached out to Danny Barber, like, thanks for introducing me to him. And
shout out to Danny Barber, bro.
Fast forward years later, I never stopped listening to him. So 15 years of listening to this cat. And I realized that me starting Hamburgers Nice was very much influenced by MF Doom. MF Doom created a whole world with his lyrics, with his personas. He was a villain, this comic book larger than life villain, but he also didn't exist. Like, you couldn't see him at his own shows, and he had a mask. You didn't know what he looked like. He would give you different references to his actual name, but you didn't know his name was Daniel Dumoulin. And with that energy, I create Hamburgers Nice, and I'm thinking, I'm setting my own rules. I'm taking a regular hamburger and presenting it a little bit different. You know, right now I'm doing like breakfast style hamburgers. There's a taboo about breakfast and heavy food, and I'm trying to break those taboos, or I'm trying to present it as normal. Like, what? You don't eat burgers for breakfast? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And his passing recently just made me smile so big when I realized, like, wow, his music totally influenced my food project.
Yeah.
And seeing all the people on social media and in the world give all these tributes to him from all walks of life, like different mediums, artists from all over, artists who've never touched a microphone or a beat pad, heavily influenced by this dude who just broke the rules. He learned the rules and then bent them and created this reality and invited everyone in. Like, you want to come into this world? And I was totally in there. Like, oh, I love this. This is so weird.
Big time.
Yeah.
I grew up on Doom because of him, and I probably very rarely did I ever search him up, because I had him playing in the house so much. But and as a kid, I wasn't very appreciative of his music at the time, just because
it's offbeat.
Yeah, we're just so weird that at that time I was like all into Tupac.
His voice is muffled a little bit.
But I didn't realize how much I really like those beats. Like, now I'm really into. I don't want to categorize his beats as all lo-fi, but I'm really into just like that style that isn't so mainstream that we usually hear. But I think going back to what you're saying about him just creating his own world and everything, I think that goes to show how important it is just for you to follow your true north of whatever that is. And as long as you are always aligned with that, everybody else is just going to be able to, like, even if they don't understand it, they'll be like, oh, well, that's you, and I can't compare that to somebody else. You can't really compare Doom to anybody else, because he was in such his own lane, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's
that's
like
pretty crazy.
Authenticity, you know, I think people are driven towards that. And if someone's being authentic and it's different, it's like, wow, like I want to be a part of that. You know, I want to be a part of that culture that he created, because everyone else is on this mainstream shit. Not to say mainstream is bad, but when you see something different or pivot from mainstream and it have success, you're kind of drawn towards it. Or there's a certain cat that's drawn towards that. Because I felt the same way with Doom. And like going back to Doom, Hamburgers Nice, I was just telling David, I wish you would have brought the Doom painting that someone had painted for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Tacos. Because you initially were going to start with tacos to just have it on the shelf there. But just to go like how far back that inspiration really does go. You know, some people can talk about it, be like, yeah, Doom inspired this project, but you legit have a painting that someone painted for you that paved the way for this to happen, you know?
Yeah. And in those, so an old girlfriend, Yasmin, she was an artist, a fine artist, and she painted she basically replicated the cover of Food, but changed the name to Tacos Jairo, because I was all about, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like I was hell-bent on presenting a taco project, and I was calling it Tacos Jairo. And so she painted me this custom piece, and to this day, like I have it on my wall. It's one of my most prized possessions. And I thought about bringing it out when everyone's flexing their connections to Doom, and I'm like, well, I got like a custom piece.
Yeah.
But I only sent it to like close circle loved ones, because I'm like, this is intimate. Like I can't put it in front of followers and have people I don't even care for just commenting and stuff.
Yeah.
As much as his music changed my life, I think his exposure, like he was sampling his favorite artists and the stuff he was into, that opened my eyes up to not just him, like Madlib and Dilla and all those cats from those circles, to jazz and to world music, and it bridged the gap between hip hop. Hip hop. Let's just say like boom bap 90s stuff that we all like, East Coast stuff, samples a certain type of R&B, funk. It samples like certain sectors of music.
Yeah.
Hearing this dude sampling stuff from other countries, from Brazil, from Germany, like krautrock, rock, it just kind of knocked down all the walls for me. And I'm like, oh, like I don't have to stick to certain genres to, there's a lot of hype in record collecting and stuff, and I'm part of it. Like I'm no different, but I try to be aware of like, am I doing this for clout? Am I doing this because I love this? Am I like, why am I buying this record?
Yeah.
Why am I taking a picture of this record? Why am I playing this record in the background? Listening to Doom just broke down a bunch of walls for me. Mm-hmm. And it just catapulted me into this whole nother realm. And David and I growing up in the same house was special because I wasn't doing it to show David anything. I was doing it for myself. He just happened to have ears in the same room, and he was able to pick up and sponge anything I was playing on the CD player or on the computer. And years later, it's been beautiful to see these influences. And it's not about me. It's about just our experience together.
Right.
To see these musical influences flourish in his music. And especially with your latest project, I felt more than ever, I felt like, oh, wow, you are knocking down your own walls.
Yeah.
Like, it's more you. It feels more you than anything I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. And it has to do with, I think, resistance, right? Like letting go of.
Yeah.
Following your true north.
Yeah, it was kind of me realizing that, instead of looking for the formula, I have the formula just with everything that I've learned leading up to that moment. So I stopped chasing a type of sound, and I just started going to influences. Like I showed Low Life Scumbag to somebody when I first made it, and they're like, "Yo, this has a total like reggae Sublime vibe, like ska punk type vibe." And I was not thinking about that at all. But they said that, and I was like, "That makes sense. I can see that. That makes so much sense because growing up to like Sublime in the household because of you guys, it is that music isn't something that somebody puts it on, and I'm like, oh, that's my jam." It's more like, oh, that you can put it on, and my brain is so, it's so merged with that it's not even a conscious thing when somebody puts that on. It's just comfort music.
Do you think back to that time, like you hear Sublime, you're like, oh, I used to play that, and that blip second, and then it's like,
yeah, well, for that, no, because it was on for such a long period of my life that it's not. It doesn't bring me back to a moment. It especially like Sublime or like Doom. I was listening to that from, 3rd, 4th grade all the way up to like 9th, 10th grade until he moved out of the house. So there's so many memories that attach to that it's not the same as like, oh, the first time I heard like Take Care by Drake. It's like, oh, I remember that moment. But I don't remember the first time I listened to Doom, Sublime, fucking Bob Marley, Rage Against the Machine, Led Zeppelin, because those were just part of the child. I wasn't even trying to listen to the music when I was with them. I was just trying to be with the bros.
Being the little bro.
Yeah, because there's 4 brothers. The 2 older, him and Isaac, had their own room, and then Jacob and I had our room. Jacob was always just like about technology. He was always like GameCube, computer, TV, and I would play with him or watch stuff with him, but it didn't stimulate me. And then I would go into their room, and they had like music playing. Isaac had a guitar. He had like keys. Heido had like all these posters on the wall, and I was like, this is tight.
Yeah.
So I would spend so much time there. I would just like knock out there, and I was just like a fly on the wall most of the time. And that's how like the first song, the first rap song that I got into came to me.
Bum 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 bum.
Yeah. Bone Thugs. I forgot what song it is.
The first song.
Package Bone. Yeah. Oh. And I didn't even know that I knew that song until it came to me literally in a dream. And I was like, what song is this, Heido? And it was one of the first times that I remember, like, this look on your face of you're like, hell yeah, like, my brother's into the shit that I'm into. Like, hell yeah, because I'm 7, 8 years younger. So at that time, I was, like, in 4th grade.
Right.
And a little 4th grader coming up to you like, yo, what's this Bone Thugs song? I need to know what song this is. I can imagine that as a big brother. I never had younger brothers, but if they came up to me like, yo, what were you listening to? I would be like, hell yeah. I mean, I try to do it with my younger cousins and stuff of, like, just like slowly just put on music quietly and see if they ever
react to it.
Hey, who is this? I like this.
And I think that hip hop being a little bit more raw and a little bit more street became more taboo in our household. You know, my mom trying to steer us clear of hood stuff, etc. So it became more special because I couldn't just bump all this music whenever I wanted. It was like, okay, you know, mom's not around right now. Bomb. Let me put on
There was
certain music
Some
types.
explicit
there was
shit.
this
Right.
slight feeling of defiance in just listening.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be laying down and I would have your green little Walkman CD thing, and you had a couple mixes that I just snatched from your album of mixed CDs, and I would like listen to it with the those headphones,
The wire
like,
headphones?
yeah, the wire headphones in
Little
bed
sponges.
a couple times, and I was just there like listening to it so quietly, but listening to it, but just quiet enough so I can still hear my mom, like if she like opened her door or something, because my worst fear was her finding out, and she never did, her finding out that I was listening to
Let me
it.
listen to this.
Yeah.
And she takes it off.
Idol!
Devil.
You're turning your younger brother into something.
How much of that culture is so much a part of it though too? You know, like the defiance of hip hop and Rage Against the Machine, and just like the mixing of all that like atmosphere of DGAF, do what I want, create my own world, and it all stems from creating your own world.
Yeah, that's where that music was born when they were making it, and that's how I absorbed it when I started listening to it. It wasn't like I was trying to be defiant, but because I liked it so much and I knew I wasn't supposed to be listening to it, I had that sense of, oh shit, like this is kind of tight.
It made it even better.
There was a rush to listening to the music on top of the rush that I received from listening to the music, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Which is super cool.
My transition to hip hop was straight from like Reggaeton to Kanye West via my cousin Valerie, and through Kanye West went back to all his samples, and then that's where I started over. Was this old sample shit is better than almost what Kanye was making at the time for Late Registration.
Right.
So then I just started from that, and then went into underground hip hop, and then I was like, dude, no one knows this shit. I'm fucking tight.
I'm fucking tight.
Yeah.
I've said that to myself a million
Wait
times.
till they hand me the ops.
Oh, like when you go on LimeWire on Aries and it was a song that had like less than 1,000 downloads, I was like, fuck yeah. No one has this, you know, because this is a little
I struck
popularity
gold
on the side, on the right.
Right.
And it's like, if it's not fully barred, it also takes longer if there's a lot of users to download
Right.
it.
Right.
Man, those take me back to those days.
I love
man.
on Spotify how it'll tell you where in the world people are listening to that music.
Yeah.
And I remember
Really? That's a thing? I didn't even know.
Yeah. It'll tell you, you know, this amount of plays, and then where are the cities where this is being played the most. And with that energy, Cisco, I would like listen to an artist and no one in California is listening to it. I'm like, I'm special.
Puts it out,
A little louder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna replay it just to get another point on that thing.
Yeah, add
I'm
that
gonna take
to
a
my
drive around the
playlist.
block.
Yeah.
Goes around the block.
How was your guys' Spotify wrap up this? Are you on Spotify?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spotify over everything.
My wrap up was not what I expected this year. I think every year I kind of know what to expect. And for some reason this year, it just totally threw me off that I basically listened to the same top 5 artists. 4 out of my top 5 were in the top 5 last year, which included like Doom and Madlib and a couple others that I don't recall right now. But my first, when I read my Spotify wrap up, I was kind of let down. I was like, oh man, like the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, now that
Come
Doom,
on, Idol.
now that Doom died, I'm like, oh, that's special. But with the exception of Elizabeth Cotton, who's like an old folk singer, who I just happened to listen to religiously this year, just like one album played over and over and over. Any fits any mood, whether you're cleaning music, you're writing, or you're with friends. Other than that artist, my other 4 artists were stuff I've listened to for 10 years, which kind of just, it didn't motivate me. I was like, oh man. But how was your guys's?
Mine was everywhere in a good way. Like my top artists were just the same as far as rap goes, like Drake, Kanye, Mac Miller, and 2 other guys. Can't remember. But I did have Don David, Krash Indigo.
Don David.
Yeah.
That was my new artist this year.
One, right?
Krash
New
Indigo.
artist. That was my favorite stat about my wrap up was how many artists you discovered, and it was like a couple thousand, because you know, like different songs, different artists, and I just kind of filtered through it and searched for music. I was like, damn, over 1,000 artists in like a span of a year. That's crazy.
I think that goes to show how many playlists you listen to, or like song radios that you listen to.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't like that. The wrap up, it was really what I was listening to during the summertime, and I think it's because I went camping so many times,
Mhm.
and I just had the same playlist that I had downloaded, and there was no service. So like it's like
so skewed a
dark
bit.
dark
Lane
lane
demo tapes, Drake's, yeah.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
and then I got super into Los Panchos. So Los Panchos was like artist number 3. So it was like Drake, Russ, Los Panchos.
Mac Miller was on there too,
I
no?
think Mac Miller, and then somebody else. But
Krash Indigo.
That's funny. Drake made an appearance on my wrap up for the first time ever.
talk about full
Wow.
circle.
Hey, this is monumental.
Yeah.
Look at Dave.
Let's
Dave was
talk
getting
about
excited. Yo, so I was too cool for school. I've always tried to. I've always
He had
thought
too
that
many
about
plays for you, bro.
myself.
He had too many plays for you.
Yeah, too
he
cool
many
for all
plays.
schools,
Yeah.
right? Like, and this goes back to like welcome to my world, right? And in my world, I just never dug Drake. There was his overall influence on modern culture,
Mhm.
and then it was his actual work. And both of those things I just was never excited about. I'm like, I mean, is his music good? Yes, it's always been good.
Yeah.
But I never connected to it to the point where like I made it like on a punk rock thing. Like, not only don't I listen to Drake, man, fuck Drake.
Yeah.
You know, and that was my energy. And David would put it on, and I would make sure he knew how I felt.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for all those years.
Nah, okay. I would put it on to like, we were both digging at
He would
each other.
trigger me, dude.
Yeah. I'd be like, let me put this. Let me
Yo,
put this a little.
fast
But
forward.
now,
Fast forward to 2020. I heard some Drake song, and it just felt good.
You heard when I pull up on.
What's
the
The if you're
From,
reading this
it's
album,
too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think my coworkers at the brewery put it on, and just song after song after song. And then within that week, I was with David, and he put it on in his car, and that's when it clicked. Like, oh, I'm going home and I'm listening to this. And I probably listened to that album 30, 40, 50 times this year. As far as
Wow.
and some of his other albums. And overall, I'm bringing him closer to, like, come on, Drake. Like
Yeah.
kind
I'm
of like
ready
I
now.
excluded you for
I'm ready
years.
now.
Like, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
And I love to tell people, especially people that know me and know my journey,
Yeah.
that I'm like, yo, I'm listening to Drake now. And everyone's like, what? You?
I'm like Heidel's growing as an overall
Yeah.
human.
And new people in my life, or newer people that don't know my journey, I'll tell them like, oh, I like Drake now. Like my friend Michelle, she was like, where the heck have you been this whole time? Like, how do you not like Drake? So I would
Yeah.
have to explain like, oh, I was in my head. I thought I was too cool for Drake and
Yeah.
shit. And it's
Now
just
I just need to make sure that Tony starts listening to Drake to see what he says.
my friend Tony.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because both of you guys are always very vocal about Drake and taking selfies. So
And it was just a resistance of pop culture
yeah.
rather than one person in particular. He just happened to be the king of pop for many, many years.
Mhm.
I have a quick little anecdote. My friend and barber Andy, we went out to LA one night, and my old girlfriend Carmen and I were of the same thought process in those years. She was driving, and Andy hops in the back, and we're on our way to LA. And then Carmen's like, "Yo, Andy!" No, I asked Andy, "Yo, Andy, what should I put on?" And without hesitation, he's like, "The new Drake album." And Carmen kills the radio, and she's like, "Man, fuck Drake." and like Andy didn't know her that well, so Andy just like sinks in his chair, like, "Oh, all right, never mind."
Yeah.
And I had to smooth things over. I think I put on a Drake song, like, "Oh, she's just kidding, bro."
Yeah.
Although low key, I felt the same way. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Man, fuck Drake."
Oh, that's so funny. That's what brought you guys closer together, you know?
Dude, when you told me you were listening to Drake, I was happy.
You're
I
hype.
was- You're like, what album should I listen to next? I was like, start from the beginning, bro. Just start.
Yeah,
I said,
from Take
"I said,
Care
what's
or So
another
Far
good
Gone.
album?" And he's like, "All of them. He doesn't
Yeah.
miss." That's what he
You don't
said.
miss, man. You don't miss. There's
Um,
different parts of your life that he'll hit.
Especially us, who we've been listening to him for like the last 10 years. So every album reminds me of a different time in my life. Especially, I mean, like when I first got into him was when I first moved out here. So I was resistant to Drake. Drake came out, what, 2010, 2009?
2010.
Around that time. I didn't get into him until like 2013, which is my freshman year out here when when I was sharing your car, the Accord. Remember that first semester that I moved out here?
Mhm.
So I would take you to work. And then at that time, I discovered So Far Gone.
Wow.
So songs like
Oh, I forgot about those years,
Successful,
dude.
Brand New,
Best I ever had.
Best I Ever Had. All those remind me of that exact moment. My first semesters in college at Long Beach City, and just like driving, low on gas, drive slow. The transmission was a little bit off, so you couldn't.
A little shaky.
Yeah, as soon as it changes, you be like, and listen to that. No AC, no heater.
Just windows down.
Yeah.
I started from the bottom, bro.
Yeah, dude,
I
just like
started from
Drake.
his bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, he did start from the bottom because that's what he probably already had like 3 albums out at that point too.
Yeah. He had
Comeback season, So Far Gone, Thank Me Later, Nothing Was the Same.
Oh yeah, 2013.
Take Care.
Yeah. Nothing Was the Same came out in 2013. Yeah. So
Are you listening to, like, who is existing in your head when you're in your creative zone? Like when you are ready to create, whether you're writing, whether you're listening to music and picking it to sing on, is it just your own sound in your head, or are you playing something in the background?
Nowadays, nobody. Nowadays, it's jazz, just like instrumental jazz, podcasts about which is whatever I'm into. Yesterday, I was listening to this
Gary V.
This girl, no, her name's this lady named
Brene Brown.
Brene Brown.
Brene Brown.
Yeah. And she was having a conversation with. He's a sports analyst now. He played for the Eagles. Something Acho. I thought you would know.
He's a wide receiver. I don't know his name, but
he was. But he started a segment called "Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man."
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I only say that because I didn't realize until recently that you're heavily influenced by who you're listening to, especially if you're creating music, and it makes you. And you don't realize that if you're super into somebody and you start to create immediately right after that, if it's not music that's similar to them, it doesn't hit you. So to answer your question, I try to stay away from anything that is hot right now. And if I am listening to any music, it's like music that brings me back to my childhood. The Doors, Led Zeppelin, stuff that you don't hear much today that I realize that I can kind of bring into myself. And because regardless, I realize I'm going to be listening to music and I'm going to absorb it and I'm going to put it out in my way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to be listening to Russ or Drake and absorb and put it out because it's too similar to what's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather go and absorb something that's not hot right
Mm-hmm.
now, and then I bring it and revamp it. Something like Sublime. I mean, of course, they're always going to be hot, but they're not.
Current.
And they're not. They don't exist in the same like musical space, or
That you're creating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I make the connection of you not wanting to hop into tacos because that's like your level of appreciation for them, and you not wanting to listen to your favorite artist because you don't want to output that same energy. You don't want to put out tacos because tacos are up here for you. Drake and Russ are up here for you, but you don't want to put out Drake or Russ. You don't want to listen to them.
And 100%. And I think I realize nowadays. The other day I was listening to Drake and I was listening to Russ, and especially these moments happen right after I've been recording all day, and I listen to them. I'm like, he's just a man. Like, I hear it. I hear the creative process. I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this. But so it's like it's a give and take type thing, because I think because I love those artists so much, naturally I'm already gonna sound similar to them, so I don't have to copy that formula. That formula is already part of me, so I'm like, well, let me pull from my experiences that I know they can't pull from.
Yeah.
So like, let me pull from the musical influences that I had that are very personal to me, because that's the only things that I can pull from that nobody else has. You know, not that they're bands that nobody else has heard of, but the mixture of bands and the blend of them is something that creates me. And then I listened to something the other day. I was listening to that. I wrote this freestyle, the Do Better freestyle, and I realized that I have in that freestyle, I have just like a very similar, like the way I hit punchlines is very similar to the way Drake does when he's just spitting. And I was just like, oh shit, like I was not even thinking about this man or anything, and I hear the similarities. I'm like, okay, cool. It shows that you don't have to like listen to your favorite artist and go try to make what they're making. Like because they're your favorite, you're already gonna make something similar to that. But go and try to pull something that's outside of that world so that it doesn't sound, played out the moment you drop that song, because it's gonna be, oh, this guy sounds like he's trying to be like this, and I don't like sounding like other people. I try to sound weird with Crash Garden, like especially like the song like God of Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The hook is a very high hook. I tried to sound weird. Like I tried to sound unlike David. I tried to sound, and I tried to pull from influences. I didn't realize how much the Gorillaz influenced me.
Mm-hmm.
So that song especially really reminded me of this song called Gravity, I think.
Mm-hmm.
By Gravity. In this world, I live.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
That's what influenced it.
That's my favorite song on that album, by the way.
Yeah, because then the beat drops. Did MF Doom produce that, or he produced another song on there?
November Has Come
He's
is
on
another. Yeah.
Legend.
But that goes to show I'm trying to pull from things that are not so much hot right now, because like, why are you gonna pull from there? Like, that's already in the box.
Yeah.
People are already listening to that. It's like you pull it out and put it back in. Nothing new was added.
Right.
As opposed to like, let me reach out something that you guys. That's why like I'm super into jazz right now. Because I'm getting into guitar, and I'm like, well, how can I implement more instruments into my music? I don't want to just like be a rapper that just has a beat on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
just know for your words.
I want a full ass band, and if I can have my hands on a guitar while I'm doing that, what? Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And a keyboard. Stop talking to me.
That's it, man.
Stop playing with me.
You're fucking creating your own world, you know, at this point. As far as time goes, you want to keep rolling?
Yeah, might as well.
Tight.
Might as well. The juices are flowing.
Juices are mega flowing.
We're Gooch.
Yeah. Well, it's nuts, man. It's good to see. Like 2 years ago, you said the same thing when I met you. It's like, no, like I think I brought up like, hey, did you listen to a new album? You're like, nah. And we weren't as tight back then, and I was just like, shit. What? You didn't listen?
What album, Drake?
It was probably a Drake album, 100%. And you're like, no, I haven't listened to it. And I'm like, what? Like, that's not normal, you know? Like, you're a fan of Drake, you listen to Drake. But it wasn't until later that he told me why, and I understood it. Because I was like, oh, shit, like, you're making music, and it makes sense that you don't want that to influence it subliminally, you know? Because you are what you listen to.
Yeah, and you can't control what influences you. You can only control your environment.
Yeah.
So I try to do that. I try to control, like, me not having Kendrick in my ear all day, because then I'm gonna want to be talking.
Yo, that's I feel you on that one, and I see myself sifting and sorting through Instagram, social media. I use Instagram more than any other social media, and it's because it's very visual, and I'm just like, it just feeds me all these cool pictures. But I will routinely, at least every couple months, just unfollow accounts that I find myself
the detox
really into, both good and bad.
Yeah.
For instance, like if we're talking junk food, it's like Food's Gone Wild and stuff like that. That makes me laugh, but it's also there's like this junk food vibe to it. It's like cheap thrills. So I unfollow that just because I know that it influences me.
Yeah.
As opposed to, let's just say there's another food vendor out there that is doing some banging ass stuff that I love. I also have to like remove myself from there, because then I find myself just copying them or like wanting to emulate that.
Yeah.
And this all goes back to what you're saying. Like, I got to stay in my world and just express myself with an attempt to reflect what's inside rather than reflecting what I'm seeing over here.
And I think I've realized that. I mean, I might have expressed it with both of you guys. When I'm like in a weird mood, I'll always be like, I just need to go lock myself in the studio and just like be on my own. And that always gets me back to where I need to be.
Demon time.
Yeah. that's what we call it. And I was like, demon time. And that's just in reference to me, you know, facing myself and kind of doing the inner work.
Yeah.
But a lot of this, since I am so tied to music, my mood is always contingent on how am I doing in the studio with myself. If I feel like I'm not pushing myself, I feel like I'm not making anything that's super dope, brand new, then I start to fall apart. I start to feel depression, which is crazy. But as soon as I create something, like I was just telling you, I think I was telling you, like I've just been re-recording this song that I shied away from, because recording is my least favorite part of making music, because it's the toughest for me. I wasn't somebody that was like vocally talented at the very beginning, where I understood range and tone and volume. I was just like, oh, rapping is about rhyming. All right. So my strongest suit was always just like
penmanship.
Yeah, penmanship. So now that is not something that's in the frontal part of my creative process, because it's something that's just so fluid for me now. Now I'm like, okay, well, let me really tackle this fucking
flow
this recording.
Yeah.
So as soon as I do that, and I like challenge myself, and I fuck up, and then I finally start to, you know, chip away, and I start to see something, that's when I'm like, oh, the world is great, man. Why is anybody ever even stressed about anything?
Self-fulfillment right there.
Yeah.
Like doing the things you love, you know, making you feel good. It's kind of like one of those things, like when you're in a bad place or you're just overthinking things, someone will always say like, just go outside, Like, go get some sunlight. Go work out. Get your mind off it. Because sometimes the hardest part is getting out of that mental state of like negativity. You know, just it's in there. It's a fog that's in front of you, and you can't escape it until you do something else. Otherwise, your brain's just there, sits, and then you just.
It's easy, right? It's
Yeah.
easy to forget what makes you happy sometimes.
Man.
It's easy to forget. It's easy to forget yourself sometimes when you're in the muck.
Yeah.
I'll go through that. And I remember a couple months ago just feeling something, but I was feeling it, and I went to go visit my mom that day. And she noticed, or she brought it up, like, yo, what's up? And I just told her, like, yo, I'm feeling it right now. I was just all over the place, just like, ugh. And she made a comment. She said, like, why don't you go help someone? Like, helping other people makes you feel good. And it was like a big duh moment, like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go do something that makes me happy. And whether it's like sharing resources or energy or time or whatever, like it was a quick fix. And I'm not saying that there's always a quick fix. Of course not. It's much more complex than that.
Yeah.
But just to touch on what you were saying, like you forget yourself, and then there comes that pivot or that moment where that aha moment, like, oh yeah, this is who I am. Oh yeah, oh, and everything, all the blocks
It
kind of
just
fall
falls
back
apart.
into place.
Yeah.
Like, tuk, 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 tuk.
Big time.
And so I feel you. Demon time, I feel you. I feel you.
Demon
I
time.
I look forward to having a space like this. Like so much, I feed off of sunlight,
Yeah.
and this is so beautiful. And right now, you guys are talking, and I'm just thinking about the light shining
Yeah.
on your faces, and I'm like, I can't wait for my next apartment. It's gonna have way more light.
Yeah, manifest that shit.
My favorite time to create is, you know, my best studio sessions are from 8 a.m. to like 2
Mm-hmm.
because it's just right here. I like to feel like I'm beating everybody and get here early
Oh, yeah.
before it gets busy.
Yeah.
And then and I almost feel like a race against time. I'm like, all right, let me see how fast I can create this. All right, let's go. And then when the sun goes down, I'm usually like more like, the day's accomplished. Let me chill.
Yeah.
Pop open a beer. But
Yeah.
then it's a greater chance that I won't fully accomplish everything.
Right. And then you feel so much better about the rest of your day. You know,
100%.
like if you don't do that in the morning, now you're just thinking about, fuck, I got to get it in.
Right.
It's 4, 5, 6, 7. You're like, damn, I have
Right.
not got it in. And then you don't get it in. It's like, fuck, I had a shitty day.
I
Like, no,
would-
you fucking didn't, bro. You just didn't do what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Which is a
That's
shitty
how I
day.
feel with like jogging or exercise.
Yeah.
In the morning, I'm inspired. In the evening, I'm guilting myself. Like, you ever see me jogging in the evening? Is because I probably ate some crazy ass shit, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna get even fucking bigger if I don't go running right now. As
Yeah,
opposed to in the
guilt
morning, I'm
tripping.
like in my zone, like
Doing this for me.
yeah, like the sun is shining and the flowers are facing, and yeah, I feel you on that. I'm also a morning person.
Yeah.
100%. And it's like almost a joke amongst my close friends. Like, they'll text me hella early, like, hey, I'm sure you've already accomplished 10 things on your list, but and it's a joke that I like to run with. I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
like that you guys think I'm just this ball of energy in the AM.
Yeah.
And then at night, like, I'm the first one many times to like retire because my eyes just don't like stay open anymore,
Yeah.
especially after some beers. Like, I'm just like all discombobulated. But at 7 a.m., boy,
I
you
feel
best
you.
believe
Yeah, I'm there.
I'm playing some records. I'm stretching.
Yeah, I love that, man. I'm gonna pivot because I didn't know you had records in your house real quick until we went over that one day. And I always have this appreciation for people that collect records because it's like, damn, that's a whole music library you got there. And like part of me just wants to go and like pop, let's see what this is, you know?
Right.
Like the magic and the beauty of all that.
Right.
Were you always a record guy? Or was it just recently? But you have a shit ton of records, so I'm assuming you're not just a record guy. 'cause
Like,
how many
it's
records did you
interesting.
have?
That's a good question. My musical journey as far as owning music is very unique because of the timing. Like, I grew up during the Napster Kazaa era. So I burned my first CD in 6th grade, you know,
Yep.
before I even had
Popping blanks.
money. Right. And a quick shout out to my friend Jeremy Borden. I don't know what he's up to nowadays. He's probably a Trump supporter. But this dude had a CD burner, and he let me know, like, yo, I can burn you a CD. Like, just give me a list of songs. So I still have it. I still have the physical
Wow.
CD. I called it Rap and Rock. And it was stuff like
We gotta get that laminated.
Korn,
Dude, yeah.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, Limp Bizkit, basically like what K-Rock was putting out that
Yeah.
year. I put the Doors on there.
Sick.
So to just draw this picture, I was a music pirate forever. And in high school, I remember LimeWire, and then the whole like legality, they're gonna go after you. So it became
Oh
like
my
a pirate
God.
thing, like,
Yeah.
oh, we're doing something naughty, like, oh,
In high school.
disconnect from the internet so they don't, so they can't trace you, whatever. Fast forward to my college years, when I started listening to certain types of music and definitely hip hop sampling, where you realize like, wait, there's something special in owning the sample or owning that record. Not to mention it's a beautiful piece of art.
Yeah.
It's big, it's bigger than a CD. It's like big, you can put it on your wall.
Artwork, yeah.
And then the act of playing, a sensitive needle drop on the record, like
Shit
I'm a
blows my
brew.
mind, bro.
I could blow it up any minute, but there I am, like taking my time putting the needle on the track.
Yeah.
I wanted to collect records a whole year before I bought my first record. And I was just in my head about like, where do I start? Who do I talk to? None of my
perfect record to buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
None of my close friends collected records, so I didn't have someone to piggyback off of like, yo, where do I start? I don't even have a record player. But I'll never forget, we were living at grandma's house at the time, and it was also, I think, my first ever eBay purchase. But I was on eBay.
So you were like senior high school around this time?
Wow.
No, I was
2005, 6?
it was maybe a little later. It was probably like 7, 8, or 9.
Okay.
I bought this song, and I don't know if you can edit music into your podcast, but I bought this song by the Quad City DJs. It was an old song I grew up with, like with
Quad
Power
City
106, but it was the or was it Quad City? But it was the in a boom boom boom. Let me hear you say ayo ayo in a boom boom boom.
Oh
Let me
my
hear.
God.
So I just
look out below.
yeah. I like looked up that song on eBay. I'm like, let me see if they have it. And I found it on vinyl and I bought it.
Wow.
And it was expensive. I don't even know what I paid for that single.
Yeah.
But once I got that record, it was like, okay, now I have to buy a record player. Now I have to. And, 12, 15 years later, I
Yeah,
still have it.
dude. Oh my
12, 15
God.
years later, like I've had a cool journey and I'm still learning. There have been moments where I find myself like sticking my nose up like, oh, those are your records? Like, look at my record. But those, I've since mellowed out and it's
Yeah.
just normal. And I love to hold people's hands like, oh, you don't know where to start? Like, what do you like? Type, buy it on vinyl. My coworker Gerardo just started collecting recently and he loves trap. And he also loves like 70s romantic Mexican pop. So like he has Gunna and he has like Pastelitos Verdes. It's just like, he's just doing him.
Yeah.
And I love that. And
Yeah.
it romanticizes it for me. I'm like, oh, that's why people fall into records, because they want physical copies of the stuff they love.
Yeah.
That being said, I started organizing my records yesterday.
Wow.
Something I've been meaning to do for over a year since I moved into my new place. And I feel so good just like putting stuff where it belongs. Because it's easy to just like, oh, people come over, let me play, these records. And then
Yeah.
you just put them back on the shelf rather than putting them in their places.
How are you organizing them? By
By genre.
That's good.
I've done it alphabetically and it just doesn't work for me
100%.
by genre. So I have reggae, which is I have a lot of reggae. I have jazz, and then I did like black artists and white artists. There's like differences in sound and eras too. I have the blues because I collect a lot of like old Delta blues, a lot of classic rock. I actually classic rock is funny. I love classic rock as much as everyone else, but it's not something I'm like these days listening to. Like, oh, let me put on Zeppelin. I had a friend who saw my record collection and she's like, oh, I have records for you. And she gifted me a crate of her dad's like old rock bangers.
Wow.
She's like, yeah, I don't talk to my dad no more. So here.
Cool.
And it was so tight. And to this day, I still have most of those records. It was like 30 good records. That's rare.
That's
Usually
awesome.
people give you a crate and you pick out 3.
Yeah.
And it was like 30 really good records. And
Jeez, you hit gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you resell?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Because if it's worth something cool, I probably like it. That's why I own it.
Right.
But I've also given away a lot of records to people who just like want records.
That's tight. It's almost like collecting books, but I almost feel like music's important to me because I think my dad collects CDs back when he was younger, and I would go on those trips to the swap meet with the guy who had wooden boards up and fucking CDs like this, and we would spend like 30-40 minutes. He would talk to the guy about artists and bands, and I was just a kid. Like, you were a kid listening to his music. This is like corridos, Mexican music. I'm like, fuck, hate this shit. I don't want none of this. But now I'm growing up and have an appreciation for all that. But it all stemmed from my dad taking me to the swap meet and just fucking him sifting through music and me thinking back. I'm like, damn, dude, dad was tight. You know, in those moments that you don't think your dad's cool, or when you're growing up, you're like, fuck dad. But
you don't get me, dad.
yeah, but fuck, he was right there where I'm at now, fucking years ago. Crazy.
That's cool.
Crazy.
That's so tight. Well, Heido, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming through.
This is tight,
Krash
dude.
Talk,
Yeah.
episode 20.
Where can the people find you, my guy?
Shameless plug, bro.
Shameless plug.
Let the people know.
Yo, well, come have a hamburger. Come, I'm making some pretty good food. I'm in Long Beach every Thursday at Commodity. Look it up. But I'm on Instagram at Hamburgers Nice, one word.
Big yellow circle, if you're ever confused.
It's the Pantone color of American cheese, FYI.
American.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, bars. Yeah, come follow. Come have a burger. Come have a burger. As things continue to kind of level out this year with the pandemic, I look forward to doing more outdoor pop-ups and coming to a part of LA near you, or Orange County too. Thanks for having me, guys. Have me back because I want to do like a follow-up and just not just follow up, but just kind of chime in to see where we're at in a month or in 2 months or whenever that is.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe sooner.
Can we plug in Sarah's Market too? That's like 2
actually,
weeks,
thanks
bro.
for the reminder.
That's in 2 weeks.
So on February 13th is a Saturday, so 2 weeks from now, I'm gonna pop up in LA at Sarah's Market, at Sarah's Market, SARAS. They're in East LA. They host. They're where you want to be. They host all the cool up and coming vendors outside of their shop on the street. It's super dope, and they carry really cool craft beer, and they're just cool people. Brown owned in the hood. It's kind of cool. So come see me on the 13th
on a Saturday.
Sarah's Market, Saturday before Valentine's Day.
Get your love burger, guys.
Get your love
Get your love burger on. Or the
I'm gonna
burger
pull
for
up.
your love.
Pull up like some huggies. Hey, bro. Thank you for coming through.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Let's
you,
pull
man.
up. Yeah.
I love you guys.
Thank
Love
you
you,
for
David.
everybody.
Thanks, Cisco, for everything.
Krash Talk.
And I look forward to hearing it.
We'll see y'all next
It's a
week.
wrap.
Peace.
Dope.